Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Poorboys Little Homestead. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Feel free to drop in anytime you feel, my friend. Guys, today I am unboxing a DEREAL Professional Power Tools chainsaw. This here is the DEREAL 6220F, 62cc. This chainsaw comes with two bars, it says. A 14-inch bar and a 20-inch bar. Now guys, some of you been watching my videos along and y'all been hearing me talk about needing to get a chainsaw, because all I have is my little electric works chainsaw, and it's fine for what I do around here, trimming limbs and cutting little stuff. But I've been talking about getting a chainsaw, and I actually been looking and gonna buy me a pretty good chainsaw, 'cause I wanted one with a 22-inch bars. I had a little incident the other day. A lady called and had a tree fell in her yard and she needed help cutting it up. Well, lo and behold, I was actually going to splurge and buy me a good saw. This here wasn't sent to me by a viewer, but I just dang near got this saw right here for dang near nothing. And that's just where I'm going to put it, just dang near nothing. So for me to get this for dang near nothing, I said, well, I'm going to give her a try. Now, I don't know if some of you remember, but back about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, Walmart sold a saw, and I can picture it right now. It was a lime green and purple. It was called the Wild Thing. Now, I give $70, I think, for that saw back then, and I kept that saw for, I don't know, 7, 8 years, and that was a cutting little saw. Now, I ain't a person that cuts firewood and cutting wood every day, so I'm just talking about for the occasional user. That Wild Thing was still running, but what happened on it, they had the little primer bulb, and the bulb busted on it. Well, back then you couldn't just get on the internet and order a part, and you may not be able to do these, but anyway, for the price that I'd give for the saw and how many years I had it, I just chunked it away. So even though this here's I don't know if you want to call this a knockoff chainsaw or a clone or what, but right there's the 20-inch bar. We're going to unbox it, assemble it, take a look at it, run it. But for the price I give for that Wild Thing saw, I just chunked it in the trash, and I said, well, long as many years I had it, I'd just buy nothing. Well, I ended up getting a little steel my pa-in-law gave me. I think it was a little 14, maybe a 12-inch bar. But I had more trouble out of that little steel. I ended up putting a carburetor on it. But it seemed like every time I wanted to use it, that thing wouldn't run. And that's been several years ago now, so I just been using my electric saw. But now I got me a gas saw, and we gonna check her out and see what we think about this. Now this here comes off, you can order these on Amazon. I can't rightly remember the price on the Amazon price, because like I said, I pretty much got this one for nothing, the way I come about it. Ain't no bad looking saw. Ain't a bad looking saw at all. Comes with a chain for each bar, a little fuel mixing container, and your little, what's in here? You got your little spark plug wrench, a little screwdriver, and it even sends you a little mini chain file. But there'll be an Amazon affiliated link in the description below this video. But we're gonna get this thing assembled and fuel mixed up and crank her up. Get y'all up in close. It's got like a toggle switch for you on and off. You choke just like any other chainsaw. Fuel caps on top. No, that's to take your breather off, I'm sorry. There's your fuel. It's got a tag on it that says fuel mixture 25:1. You got your oil right here in the front where your oil plug. I don't know what the proper name for them teeth are, but they made of metal. They ain't plastic like some saws. So let's get this thing put together. I don't think I need directions on putting a chainsaw together. First, you want to remove your bar guard cover here. Just these two bolts. Now the guard on this thing's plastic, and the chain lock's made of plastic, but I do like that the tensioner and all in here is made of some type of metal or aluminum. It ain't plastic. I like that about it, I see already. Let's see, we're gonna put the 20-inch bar on here first. See if we can open this saw up, chain up. Like I said, it comes with the 14 and the 20-inch bar. And a chain for each bar. We'll make sure we put our chain on the proper direction. I have got in a hurry doing this before and put my chain on backwards, guys. Putting your chain on, you take your time, make sure it's in the groove all the way down, and then you sprocket back here on the back. Put your cover back on. Since the bar ain't never been on, you got to get this screwed down to where your little peg there hit the hole on your bar. For the first time, get it lined up. Put your two little nuts back on there. Now I'll just give these nuts right here just a, don't tighten them up yet. Just give them just a little snug. Not even really snug. Then right here on the front of your cover here, that adjustment screw is where you want to tighten your screw to tighten your chain. They send you this little wrench here, but a good Phillips screwdriver would work better. You don't want to get your chain too tight. And being a new chain, it's going to stretch right off the bat, and I'm going to have to redo this as soon as we fire it up and run it a minute. I always like to hold up on my bar when I'm tightening my chain down. If you don't hold up on that bar while you're tightening it, then your chain's gonna get loose real quick when you start. Or at least that was all of my life I've done that. You may not have to do it anymore, but I just always hold up on the front of my bar. And like I said, we're gonna have to retighten it because the new chain's gonna stretch right off the bat. So I ain't getting too carried away with how much tightening I'm doing. It even comes with a little sheath to put over your chain. So far, that's the cheapest thing made on the saw. It's very thin, ain't much to it. It says for 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20. I will say that's the cheapest thing made so far. As far as looking at the saw, it does have a metal handlebar I like, because some of these chainsaws nowadays with these plastic ones, over time your bar break. And you can tell this here's got the vibration. See the motor moves separate from your bar and handle, so that ought to be your vibration, help kill some of the vibration on it. Back in the day, a chainsaw, if it didn't have that on it, it'd vibrate you to death, especially with some of your cheap made ones. But this one here looks like it's got the vibration dampener. And guys, I'm finna mix us some fuel, and we're gonna put some fuel in this baby, and we're gonna fire her off. Alright guys, I got us gas mixed up here at 25 to 1. I like their little mixer bottle that they send with it. I ain't never had a little bottle I don't like mixing up a lot of gas at one time because it ain't gonna get used. So we finna pour us some little gas in here. It looks like half of this little bottle. It ain't quite full, but it's almost full. And then we're finna add us some oil in the oiler. Now guys, I don't never use chainsaw bar oil. Now if I was a logger or used my chainsaw every day, I might would do that. I don't know, but I've always used what I run in my vehicle, which is not what I'm running in my vehicle now. But 10W30. I've always felt if 10W30 was good enough to run in my truck engine, it's good enough to oil a chain on a chainsaw. Them pistons in that truck goes up and down a whole lot more than this chain goes around and around. But everybody's each is to their own. This is just how I've always felt. Just make sure you don't use too thick of oil that it won't go through your chain oiler. Other than that, you never make me believe 10W30 ain't good enough for a chainsaw. But like I said, now if I was a logger running my saw every day or cutting for hours, I might would do something a little different. But all right, we finished. Move over here on the ground where I can set this down. We're gonna, I don't know which way is kill, stops down, runs, switch goes up. Now this one here don't come with no primer bulb, so it's gonna take a few pulls right off the bat to get it to pump the fuel up to the carburetor. And I'm expecting to have to do a little adjustment. It's got 2 adjustments on the carburetor, but it might be set just right. We've been to see. But here goes nothing, guy. Alright guys, we finna see how this chainsaw fires up. We're gonna lock our chain. Eight pulls and she fluttered. Now we're gonna push the choke in. Alright guys, so as y'all seen, when I went out there and cranked it, I guess my mic here, the wire pulled out just a little bit and come unhooked and I didn't have no sound. But what I did, y'all seen me crank it, it took, I think it was 9 pulls to make it flutter, because like I said, this one don't have the primer bulb, so it takes a little while for the first time to get your fuel pumped up to your carburetor. Then I sat there and I revved it up and run it and let it idle and revved it up and pointed it to the ground. That's how I always make sure my oiler's oiling, is to watch for a oil line on the ground as you chain slinging it on the ground. And then I killed it, and the first time I killed it, I pulled it one time and it fired back up and I immediately killed it. The second time it actually took me 2 pulls, but my first pull I didn't. I believe if it would have been a good pull, it would have fired up the first pull, but I tried it easier than I thought. While I'm talking about the pull on the cranking, this chainsaw has, it's like spring loaded. I don't know the proper name of it, but when you start pulling it, it kind of automatically gives you some more pressure, so it's very easy to pull the crank. But after I warmed it up and revved it and I run it there for a little while, just steady ribbing it to make my chain stretch, I come back over here, and this is, y'all, I cut this part of the video out and I'm just kind of redoing it, going it over. I had to tighten the chain back up because like I said, a new chain is always going to stretch a little bit just by running it. You ain't even got to cut anything. But I tightened the chain back up, and then the next part of the video, which is what y'all been to see coming up, I went out there and I got a log, and the log's about 8 to 10 inches diameter, and I do some cutting with it. And during that time I stop, and it's got an adjustment on that carburetor for the idle, and it's got an adjustment for your carburetor setting. The saw in the beginning, it was running real good, but it was lugging down just a little bit when I was cutting, so I adjusted the carburetor just not even an 1/8 of a turn, and the saw really cut good. Now this is supposed to be a 62cc. I ain't gonna say it runs with the Steels or the Husqvarnas or the whatever top brands out there. I ain't gonna say it may not cut as fast as them, but the saw cut pretty good. So now we're gonna let y'all see to the part of the video again, and they ain't gonna have no sound. And then we're gonna, after that, we're gonna talk about some what I like and what I don't like and what I think about this saw. Alright, so y'all seen me cutting the wood, and even after I turned the video off, I cut the whole rest of that log up in them little bitty blocks. Like I said, after I adjusted the carburetor, the thing really does good, guys. I'm very pleased with the saw, especially for I keep saying what I got it for. Guys, I pretty much got this saw for the price of shipping. So I don't think anybody wanted a chainsaw would turn that down, the deal I got. But like I said earlier, years ago I bought that wild thing from Walmart. It was a good saw. Now I ain't gonna say this is a saw for someone who's gonna be cutting firewood daily or a logger. You might want a better chainsaw. But for the occasional user, this saw I think it's gonna be just as good as any other saw. The saw is very smooth running. It wasn't vibrating because like I was showing y'all, it's got the motor's different from your handle. You can see it, the vibration dampeners there. It's not attached to the handle or your rear handle. I have run some older saws in my time that they just vibrate, and when you get done, your hands is done gone to sleep. This saw don't do that. I like it because it's got the metal handlebar here. I think I may have said earlier in the video, but since I'm having to redo the video, I don't know exactly what I've said. Some of these saws, even your name brand saws, big name brand saws, have got plastic handles. Well, if you drop that thing or it breaks that handle, or years later the sun deteriorates that plastic, you break your handle. My personal opinion about these saws is nowadays your name brand saws, a lot of them going to electronic fuel injection and that kind of stuff. I really think this is a clone of the old saws that was your top saws back in the day. This is just a clone of it. They can make them and sell them cheaper now. They're assembled and built overseas. I think this one was come from China, if I remember right. I think I've seen that somewhere. I ain't 100% sure. We all know it wasn't built in the USA because most of your name brand stuff, even if they say it's built in the USA, guys, all the parts and stuff that it's made from comes from somewhere else. Trust me. All this made in the USA stuff, 80% of the time is a joke. And I hate to say that, but it's just the way it is. But as far as my feelings on this saw, I think it's a very good saw for the price. Like I said, I think it's around $170 on Amazon. Comes with a 20-inch bar, a 14-inch bar, and a chain for each. Personally, first time I've ever seen a chainsaw sell with two different bars. I ain't saying there ain't no other ones out there, but I think that was pretty neat. The cheapest things on this chainsaw that I see is the little chain guard cover here. Yes, made of thin plastic. Most people lose them anyway. And the other thing, they send a little bitty file with it. The little file is all right. You would just need to put your little handle on it if you could hold it, but you could take a little wood stick, make you a handle, and you could get some use out of the little file. As far as the saw, the gas tank covers, yeah, that's plastic. The gas tank cap and the oiler cap. The choke's plastic, which I ain't seen other saws. I ain't seen one yet that ain't plastic that I've seen. Even when I was looking at the $500 saw, I was looking at a steel. I was gonna get a $500. By the time taxes and all, it'd been around $500. It was called a Farm Boss or something like that. Steel makes. Seemed like it was like $450, and then you have your tax on it, or $430 plus your tax, something other like that. I've seen reviews on different off-brand saws talking about the plastic handles being rough and all that. Listen here, guys, ain't nothing wrong with this handle. It ain't no rough edges on this handle. It's slick as it can be. Now me, I'm just a common fella. I don't expect no chainsaw to feel like a nice, soft, cushiony shoe on my foot. This is a tool. This is something you work with. Dang chainsaw. I don't see, I mean, it ain't nothing wrong with that. The chain lock up here is plastic, but Everything else I've seen is plastic. When you're putting the bar on, behind the bar cover here, the bar cover is plastic, but the good part is the chain tensioner in there is metal or aluminum. It ain't plastic, and that's a good thing. It also has a adjustment screw here to where you can adjust the amount of oil that lets out to oil your bar. This one here is doing good. I actually like mine to throw a little extra oil than I had. Would rather, you don't want one not oiling enough, because that'll get your chain too hot and your bar too hot. You'd rather for them to be throwing out too much oil. And speaking of oil, I have yet in my life all the chainsaws my dad owned and grandpa owned, and the few that I've owned, which I actually ain't never owned but 3 if you want to tell you the truth, because it lasts you so long when you ain't using them. I have never had one that the oiler, when you left it full of oil, that the oil didn't drip out on. Well, I've seen bad reviews when I was looking at chainsaws. People talking about, yeah, the oil tank leaks oil out. Well, guys, I ain't got the manual right now because I done put it up. But if you would take the moment and look in the manual, it says in the manual when you ain't using it to pour the oil out of the oil tank because it will leak oil out. And that disgusts me more than anything, is people leaving bad reviews on products that ain't nothing wrong with the product. They just too sorry to read the manual that come with it. They don't know what they got to begin with. Now, I ain't saying there's some chainsaws ain't made nowadays that they don't leak no more, but I'd have to see it and use it for a while to prove it to me. But that's enough about that little ramp. The bar teeth right here, I call that the bar teeth. That is actually bumper teeth, or what, I don't know the proper name for it, but that's metal. It ain't plastic. Good sharp teeth. They bit in good when I was cutting the log. And like I said, after I got through cutting the log on the video, I flipped it around and cut the big end. Now the big end, on the very biggest end, it's kind of odd shaped, but it was like 16 inches round. And then I went and cut up some other little logs, and I cut them up in a bunch of little blocks just so I could run it. And the saw done amazing. I'm actually pleased with the saw. It's a pretty good quality chain, because the chain is extremely sharp, but it stretched when I was here running it the first time, but after I cut the wood, the chain didn't stretch. I didn't have to tighten it again. So that tells me the chain's a pretty good quality made chain. If I didn't mention it, like I was saying a while ago when I was cutting the wood, it comes with a little screwdriver. You got an auto adjustment and your carburetor adjustment. They had it so close that the average person wouldn't know to adjust it any, but I adjusted it just a little bit and it did make a difference. Like I said, this is the DEREAL. I'm pronouncing that DEREAL. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Most things I don't, but that's the DEREAL 6220F. Comes with 2 bars, 14 inches, 20 inches. Again, there'll be an Amazon link in the description below this video. If you've been looking at a chainsaw and interested in a chainsaw and don't want to buy no real expensive chainsaw, but you're scared of what you're getting, I think you'll be happy this one for the occasional user. When I was looking at these chainsaws, it was this one and 2 more brands that I was considering, but at the same time I didn't want to do it. And then lo and behold, the deal come across on this one. I said, well, that was one of the ones I was thinking about anyway, so that's what I got. But guys, I don't know nothing else to say about the little saw. Like I said, it's got the safety latch right here on the handle. You got to have it smashed to run it. It won't let you pull the trigger unless you got your hand right here, which anytime you're running it, you need your hand right there anyway. But all that is it don't let the trigger smash unless you got your hand on the handle with that pushed down. It also has a trigger lock, so you can lock the trigger in wide open speed. Now I seen a review where a guy was complaining about that, guys. The dude was complaining because when the trigger's pushed all the way, the trigger push don't go. You got to back off the trigger a little bit to find the hole. Well, the dude was griping about that. Give a negative feedback on the review. Well, if you ain't got sense enough to figure something simple like that out, you dang sure don't need to be running a chainsaw. The old saying says, some folks will gripe even if you hang them with a new rope. That's the way some folks are. But this saw will last more than I ever do. At least I hope so. I hope I don't never have to use it that much unless I'm using it to make me some little money with. Now, if I'm using it to make me some little money with, then I wouldn't mind it getting used more often. But guys, that's about all I know to talk about this saw. I think it's a very good saw. A real good saw for the price, 'cause like I said, $175 versus well, Amazon, $175. Whatever your taxes might be on that, free shipping, versus $500. I don't think a steel's gonna I don't think the one steel, $500 steel, I don't think it's gonna outlast 2 or 3 of these for sure. But guys, if you like this little video, maybe you're looking at a chainsaw, maybe this will help you make your decision. If you would, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't never subscribed, please hit the subscribe, because anything I'm going to do, I'm going to give the honest review on, and I'm going to give you my honest feelings about things. What they say, opinions is like something else. Everybody's got one. Well, this is my channel. I'm going to give mine. But thanks for watching, guys. God bless. Hope y'all have a great day. See y'all next time.